In a derelict space station's dark corridor, a starving Orion girl named Spica cowered, abandoned by all except the incoming human crew. For days she had huddled there, ships docking and departing, without a glance in her direction, the station's occupants shunning the complicated politics of aiding in Orion. Then the human vessel arrived. Led by Captain Mark Young, the crew of the small exploration ship entered the station seeking parts and supplies. Security Chief Jack Hawkins discovered Spica during a search. He called the captain over, the girl shrinking back from the towering humans, yet sensing a difference in their eyes. Not cold indifference, but something else. Mark knelt, offering Spica food and water, which she hesitantly accepted. Spica explained her predicament through translation devices. The men exchanged looks. Getting involved meant trouble, but abandoning her was not an option. As Mark arranged quarters for Spica, hostile aliens accosted them, demanding the humans leave the Orion scum, a fugitive wanted by the galactic community. Jack tensed at the slur as Mark icily placed Spica under human protection. Weapons were drawn as tensions mounted, until the arrival of Mark's armed crew forced the aliens to retreat, vowing retribution. Carrying an exhausted Spica to the medical bay, Mark silenced his crew's concerns over the repercussions of their actions, affirming that some things surpassed mere politics. As the ship disengaged from the station and Spica drifted to sleep, she sensed her destiny, and perhaps the fate of the galaxy itself, had been forever altered in that moment. Spica's eyes fluttered open, the harsh glare of the medical bay lights making her squint. Disoriented, she pushed herself up on her elbows, wincing at the dull ache in her muscles. The soft beep of monitors and the sterile scent of antiseptic filled her senses. "Easy there," a gentle voice said. A woman in a white coat approached Spica's bedside, her kind eyes crinkling at the corners as she smiled. "I'm Dr. Emily Chen. You're safe now." Spica swallowed hard, her throat dry and scratchy. "Where am I?" she croaked. "You're on a human ship," Dr. Chen explained, offering Spica a cup of water. "Captain Mark Young and his crew rescued you from that space station." As if on cue, the door slid open and two men strode in, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a commanding presence and a slightly shorter, muscular man with a guarded expression. Spica recognized them as the ones who had stood up for her against the hostile aliens. "Ah, Captain Young, Chief Hawkins," Dr. Chen greeted them. "Spica is awake." The captain stepped forward, his blue eyes warm and reassuring. "Hello, Spica. I'm Mark Young, captain of this vessel. This is Jack Hawkins, our security chief." Jack gave a curt nod, his gaze assessing Spica with a mix of concern and curiosity. Mark held out a small device. "We thought you might need this. It's a translator, so we can understand each other better." Spica took the device with trembling hands, attaching it to her collar. Tears welled in her eyes as the weight of their kindness hit her. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice wavering, "for saving me. But why? Why help me when no one else would?" Mark's expression softened. "Turning a blind eye to suffering goes against everything we stand for as humans. We couldn't just leave you there." "What will happen to me now?" Spica asked, fear creeping into her voice. "We'll keep you safe," Mark assured her, "until we can find a permanent solution, a place where you'll be protected and cared for. You have my word." As the days passed, Spica regained her strength under Dr. Chen's attentive care. True to his word, Mark assigned Jack as her personal guide and guardian. The gruff security chief showed Spica around the ship, introducing her to the wonders of human culture. In the mess hall, Jack watched with amusement as Spica sampled various Earth delicacies, her eyes widening at the explosion of flavors. "This is amazing," she exclaimed, savoring a bite of pizza. Jack chuckled. "Wait until you try ice cream." As they explored the ship, Spica marveled at the easy camaraderie between the crew members, the laughter and good-natured ribbing echoing through the corridors. It was so different from the cold, ruthless society she had known among her own kind. She found herself drawn to Jack, intrigued by the gentleness he tried to hide beneath his tough exterior. There was a sadness in his eyes, a hint of a painful past that resonated with her own losses. One afternoon, while Jack was showing Spica the safety features in his quarters, she accidentally triggered a fire extinguisher, filling the room with a thick, white foam. Horrified, Spica fled, certain she had angered her protector. Jack found her huddled in a storage closet, trembling and apologetic. To her surprise, he burst out laughing. "It's just foam, Spica. No harm done." As they cleaned up the mess, Jack regaled her with stories of his own mishaps as a rookie, the tension easing from Spica's shoulders as she began to see the humor in the situation. "Jack," Spica ventured hesitantly, "can I ask you something?" "Shoot." "What are human families like?" Jack paused, a faraway look in his eyes. "I lost my parents when I was young," he said quietly. "The military became my family. They gave me a purpose, a place to belong." Spica nodded, understanding the unspoken pain in his words. An unspoken connection formed between them, two wounded souls finding solace in unexpected companionship. Their moment was shattered by the urgent blare of the intercom. "Chief Hawkins, report to the bridge immediately." On the bridge, Mark stood rigid, his face grim as he studied the view screen. A massive alien battlecruiser loomed before them, dwarfing their small vessel. "They're hailing us, sir," the communications officer reported. Mark nodded tightly. "On screen." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a snarling alien with mottled green skin and cruel yellow eyes. "Human vessel, you are harboring a fugitive wanted by the galactic community. Surrender the Orion girl at once or face the consequences." Mark's eyes sharp. "Spica is under our protection. We will not hand her over." The alien captain sneered. "Then you will share her fate. You have made a grave mistake, human. The full force of the galactic community will—" Mark cut off the transmission with a slash of his hand. He turned to face his crew, his expression somber. "Spica has been declared an enemy of the state, and by sheltering her, so have we." Spica's heart plummeted, despair washing over her. She had brought this upon them, these kind, brave humans who had shown her the first glimmer of hope in a lifetime. Now, because of her, they were in terrible danger. Mark placed a reassuring hand on Spica's shoulder. "We're in this together, Spica. We won't abandon you." As the crew scrambled to battle stations, a desperate plan formed in Spica's mind. She couldn't let them sacrifice everything for her. Slipping away in the chaos, Spica raced to the shuttle bay, her heart pounding as she initiated the launch sequence. She had to make this right. She would turn herself in to the galactic community to save her human friends. Jack burst into the bay just as the shuttle's engines roared to life. "Spica, no! What are you doing?" But it was too late. The shuttle blasted out of the ship, hurtling into the void of space. Jack didn't hesitate. He leapt into another shuttle, his eyes blazing with drive as he maneuvered out of the bay. He pushed the engines to their limit, his heart hammering in his chest as he raced after Spica. He had to reach her, had to stop her from making this terrible mistake. He couldn't lose her. Not now. Not when he had just begun to understand the depth of his feelings for her. As the alien battlecruiser loomed ahead, its weapons charging with a menacing hum, Jack gritted his teeth and pushed forward, his shuttle streaking through the stars in a desperate race against time. Jack's hands flew over the shuttle controls, his eyes fixed on the tiny speck of Spica's vessel ahead. The alien battlecruiser loomed ever larger, its massive silhouette blotting out the stars. Gritting his teeth, Jack pushed the engines past their safety limits, alarms blaring as the shuttle shuddered around him. Come on, he muttered, closing the gap. Spica's shuttle grew larger in his view screen, now dwarfed by the approaching alien ship. With a burst of speed, Jack's shuttle overtook Spica's, cutting across its path. He activated the docking clamps, metal screeching against metal as the two vessels connected. Jack sealed his helmet and cycled the airlock, his heart pounding as he stepped into Spica's shuttle. She whirled to face him, green eyes wide with shock and brimming with tears. "Jack, what are you doing here?" "Stopping you from making a huge mistake," Jack said, reaching for her. "Spica, you can't do this." "I have to," Spica cried, backing away. "Don't you see? I've brought nothing but trouble to your crew, If I turn myself in, maybe they'll leave you alone. Jack shook his head. It doesn't work like that. These people, they won't stop just because they have you. We need you, Spica. Your knowledge, your skills. They're vital to our survival now. Spica's shoulders slumped. But why? Why risk everything for me? Jack stepped closer, his voice softening. Because you're family now, and family never gets left behind. Spica's eyes widened, a glimmer of hope breaking through her despair. But before she could respond, a violent shudder ran through both shuttles. Harsh light flooded the cockpit as a tractor beam locked onto them, pulling them inexorably towards the alien battlecruiser. No! Jack lunged for the controls, but it was too late. The shuttles were dragged into a cavernous docking bay, surrounded by rows of armed alien soldiers. Their leader, a towering figure with mottled green skin and cruel yellow eyes, stepped forward. Well, he sneered, his translator conveying the contempt in his voice. The traitorous Orion and her human lapdog. I am Commander Zorak, and you are now prisoners of the galactic community. Jack positioned himself in front of Spica, his hand inching towards his sidearm. But they were hopelessly outnumbered. Alien soldiers swarmed the shuttle, roughly dragging them out and confiscating their weapons. You'll face the full wrath of the community for harboring this criminal, Zorak gloated as they were marched through sterile corridors. Perhaps we'll make an example of you to show other species the price of defying our authority. They were shoved into a small, bare cell, the energy field crackling to life behind them. Jack paced the confined space, mind racing for a way out. Spica slumped against the wall, her face a mask of guilt and sorrow. I'm so sorry, Jack, she whispered. This is all my fault. Jack knelt beside her. Spica, tell me the truth. What's really going on here? Why are they after you? Spica took a deep breath, her eyes meeting Jack's. I'm not just a refugee. I'm a member of the Orion royal family. Jack's eyebrows shot up, but he remained silent as Spica continued. I discovered a conspiracy between corrupt officials on my world and leaders in the galactic community. They've been exploiting and oppressing my people for years. I stole evidence of their crimes, and that's why they want me so badly. Jack's mind reeled at the implications. So if we could get that evidence out... Spica nodded. We could expose the whole thing, but it seems hopeless now. Jack's hand went to a hidden pocket in his uniform, feeling the outline of a small device. Maybe not. I have a backup communicator. If I can reach the captain... He activated the device, speaking in a low, urgent tone. Captain Young, it's Hawkins. We're in trouble, but there's more going on here than we realized. As Jack relayed Spica's revelation, a spark of drive ignited in both their eyes. They weren't beaten yet. The real fight was just beginning. The ship rocked violently as another barrage of enemy fire struck their shields. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. Shields at 12%, the tactical officer shouted. We can't take much more of this. Captain Young's voice cut through the chaos. Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of here now. The ship lurched as it veered away from the alien battlecruiser, narrowly avoiding another volley of weapons fire. In the holding cell, Jack and Spica were thrown off balance by the sudden movement. They're not giving up, Jack growled, steadying himself against the wall. We need to... His words were cut short as a deafening explosion ripped through the ship. The energy field containing them flickered and died. Without hesitation, Jack grabbed Spica's hand and pulled her out of the cell. They raced through smoke-filled corridors, dodging falling debris and panicked alien crew members. Jack's communicator crackled to life with Captain Young's voice. Hawkins, we've breached their hull. Get to the shuttle bay immediately. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with Commander Zorak and two of his guards. The alien's yellow eyes narrowed in rage. You won't escape me that easily, he snarled, raising his weapon. Jack reacted instantly, tackling Spica to the ground as energy bolts sizzled overhead. In one fluid motion, he scooped up a fallen piece of debris and hurled it at Zorak. The makeshift projectile caught the alien commander squarely in the face, sending him reeling. Taking advantage of the distraction, Jack and Spica sprinted past their stunned adversaries. They burst into the shuttle bay just as Captain Young and a small team of human crew members were boarding a commandeered alien vessel. "Move it!" Young shouted, laying down covering fire as Jack and Spica scrambled aboard. The shuttle's engines roared to life, catapulting them out of the bay and into open space. Behind them, the alien battlecruiser listed to one side, flames erupting from multiple breaches in its hull. As they sped away from the damaged vessel, Spica suddenly gasped and clutched her side. Jack's eyes widened as he saw the spreading stain of green blood on her clothing. "She's hit!" he yelled to the others. "We need medical attention now!" Captain Young cursed under his breath. "Set course for our ship," he ordered the pilot, "and step on it!" The shuttle streaked through space, pushing its engines to the limit. Jack cradled Spica in his arms, applying pressure to her wound as her breathing grew labored. "Stay with me," he urged, his voice tight with worry. "We're almost there." As soon as they docked with the human vessel, a medical team led by Dr. Chen rushed to meet them. They whisked Spica away on a gurney, leaving Jack standing in the docking bay, his hands stained with her blood. Captain Young approached, his face grim. "We can't stay here," he said. "That battlecruiser might be damaged, but they'll have called for reinforcements. We need to get as far away as possible." Jack nodded, his lips pursed. "Where to, sir?" Young's eyes gleamed with dedication. "Spica mentioned coordinates in that data she stole. It's a long shot, but it might be our only chance." As the ship's engines hummed to life, preparing for their desperate flight, Jack made his way to the medbay. He found Dr. Chen hunched over Spica's prone form, working feverishly to stabilize her condition. Jack took Spica's hand, his thumb gently stroking her palm. "Fight," he whispered. "You have to fight." The ship lurched as it jumped to FTL speeds, hurtling them towards an uncertain future and their only hope of survival. Survival and their only hope of exposing the truth. As the ship emerged from FTL, a shimmering azure world filled the viewscreen. Captain Young's voice crackled over the intercom. "We've reached the Navari homeworld. All hands prepare for landing." Jack reluctantly left Spica's side, squeezing her hand before joining the bridge crew. As they entered the atmosphere, a sprawling crystal city came into view, its spires reaching towards the sky like frozen lightning. The ship touched down in a clearing outside the city limits. A delegation of tall, silvery-skinned beings with iridescent eyes approached. Their leader, an elder with elaborate markings, stepped forward. "We are the Navari," he intoned, his voice resonating strangely. "We have foreseen your arrival, humans of Earth. The stars speak of great upheaval to come." Captain Young bowed slightly. "We come seeking asylum and aid. We have evidence of a conspiracy that threatens the entire galaxy." The Navari elder's multifaceted eyes seemed to pierce through them. "We shall convene the council. Your fate will be decided there." As the humans were led into the crystal city, Jack couldn't help but marvel at the impossible architecture. Buildings seemed to defy gravity, their crystalline surfaces refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. In a vast chamber of living crystal, the Navari Council materialized. Spica, supported by Dr. Chen, presented the stolen data, her voice growing stronger as she spoke of the corruption and oppression she had uncovered. The council deliberated in eerie silence, communicating through subtle shifts in the color of their skin. Finally, the elder who had greeted them stepped forward. "The Navari grant you sanctuary," he declared. "The coming storm threatens us all. We must prepare." A wave of relief washed over the human crew, but it was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the crystal city, and a young Navari burst into the chamber. "Honored ones," he gasped, "our long-range sensors detect a massive fleet entering the system. They bear the markings of the galactic community." The elder's eyes flashed with an emotion Jack couldn't quite read. "So it begins," he murmured. "The prophecy unfolds." Captain Young's mind focused in iron will. "We need to fortify your defenses. Jack, organize security teams. I'll work with your engineers to augment what we can." As the humans and Navari scrambled to prepare, Jack caught Spica's gaze. No words were needed. They both knew the real battle was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.